Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's Sunday morning, so we thought we would share a treat with you. A ministerial servant has given us his very first talk.
Kindly sent us out, given us his first talk, yeah.
And has told us to trash it. This brother now knows Tat. And you want to read your tea bag here?
Well, yeah, it's just interesting that it just happens to say, don't compromise yourself. You're all you've got. This is from Janice Joplin, no less.
Yeah. So anyway,
he actually told us to do what only we can do, right?
And you know us, we will try our best.
Yeah, so there's no copyright infringement, right?
Yes, so we just want to do the disclaimer that we have permission, so this does not infringe on anyone's copyright. So
we just want everybody to know that, this is all done in jest, I guess.
Yeah, this is done in a humorous way.
This brother does know Tat, but it just kind of lets everybody know what sense of humor he's got by letting a couple of apostates tear it apart.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since there's some gems in this talk. Because we have heard this talk 1,000 times. Those of us who have been witnesses for a while. Choose your associates wisely.
So really, what better talk to trash? A couple of apostates to trash is a well-rehearsed cult mind control talk. Choose your associates wisely.
Yes. So get some popcorn and
sit back and get ready to laugh your backsides off.
We'll be listening to Brother Mike Brooks as he gives this talk entitled, Choose Your Associates Wisely. So let's turn our attention.
I wonder if the brother introducing the public speaker will recognize him 20 years from now.
Elder Bruce? Nah. Do I know you? Did you used to work for me? Not even if he sits down in front of him in a restaurant 20 years later. Never recognize him.
I wonder if the brother adjusting the mic really knows the difference between crystal meth and soldering flux.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay, so for those of you who didn't recognize it, yes, it is Mike. This is his first talk.
God, I hope John Cedars doesn't get a hold of this.
Hey, John, if you want this, I will send it to you.
John,
just email me.
John, please, no. John, say no. John, no.
Found out that 4 of my classmates were involved in an automobile accident. They had gone to a neighboring state to a concert, and as typical of concerts, drugs and alcohol tend.
Did you recognize that couple that cut off the
Yes,
talk?
yes, I did. They're in every congregation. This is brother and sister, always late.
Always late, yep.
The associates that we do choose can influence us for either good or bad.
Are you embarrassed yet?
I'm getting there.
We want you to remember this comment for later. It will play into our hands later.
Yes, and also, if you'd like to see the talk in its entirety, please just email us and we'll be happy to burn you a copy and send it to you.
Or I'll upload it to YouTube, and whoever wants, I can send them a link to an unlisted
we can
one.
do that too. It's utterly embarrassing.
Yeah, but we know not many would want to watch it because it'll make you nauseous.
And let's see how the Bible points this out. I'd like to direct your attention to Proverbs chapter 13, and we'll read verse 20. It's Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. He that is walking with wise persons will become wise, but he that is having dealings with the stupid ones will fare badly. Now, the Hebrew word here for stupid implies being insensible to moral truth. And a good example of what moral truth is that if you're going to drink and drive, sooner or later, you're going to get hurt or you're going to hurt someone else. Now, allowing yourself to drink and drive knowing this makes you, as this scripture says, a stupid person. Now, wise persons, they'll act with sensibleness and discretion. They'll use good, sound judgment to avoid the dangers or anything that could possibly harm them. Now, the purpose of this talk is to explain why it's wise to be selective in choosing our associates. We're going to contrast the good effects and the bad effects with the good association and the bad association, and hopefully we're going to encourage everybody to choose their associates with whom God approves of.
Okay, I see mind control tactics in this clip.
Yeah, that'll never work on us. Do you think maybe one day this guy's going to brown nose it enough to become an elder?
No, this knucklehead's CO material. He's going to be a CO within 10 years.
I guarantee it.
Now, we have a good example in the Bible of someone who appreciated the value of a good associate, and this was King David. He desired Jehovah's friendship and realized that his associating with those whom Jehovah did not approve of would jeopardize his relationship with Jehovah. I'd like to direct your attention again to Psalms chapter 26, and this was part of our opening psalm, but these are David's words. And notice his expressions, and notice and see also if these expressions could be applicable today. Psalms chapter 26, and we'll read verses 4, 5, 9, and 10. David says, I have not sat with men of untruth, and with those who hide what they are, I do not come in. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and with the wicked ones I do not sit. Verse 9 and 10. Do not take away my soul along with sinners, nor my life along with blood-guilty men, in whose hands there is loose conduct, in whose right hand is full of bribery. Notice again that David recognized that his association with ungodly men would eventually cost him his life and his relationship with Jehovah God.
Okay, this was not a good example. King David?
King David, yeah.
Okay, obviously he wasn't careful about choosing his associates when he started associating and, leering at Bathsheba. But the biggest thing is, okay, let's say you're the rank and file in, this nation of Israel, and your King David, your leader, did this.
Yeah, he'd already committed adultery. You've already learned that he's busted a cap in Uriah's ass. Why would you view King David as good association?
Why would you use this as an example?
Yeah, why would I even do that?
But something more important.
Yes, it's interesting that by the time I had been assigned this public talk, I had already been serving as an MS for 6 years. So I had already begun experiencing the lies that are coming out of elders' mouths. I had already seen the politics that were going on in the back room. I had already written a letter or two to the Watchtower Society complaining about these elders' actions.
You had already lost your privileges, twice?
A couple of times by this. So why did this scripture not have an effect on me? I can't answer that. Why did this not make me realize that I already was sitting with men of untruth?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's the cult. See, that's how the cult tactic works.
The mind control.
The mind control, exactly.
His own age group. An example that we have is that of Jonathan. We know that Jonathan was 30 years older than what King David was. In fact, 1 Samuel chapter 18 speaks about their relationship as a dear love that they had for each other, actually loving the other one more than their own soul. In other words, they were willing to die for each other. In fact, even upon hearing about Jonathan's death, David composed a dirge that had these words in it. Now remember, he's speaking about Jonathan here. It says, more wonderful was your love for me than that from women.
It sounds a little homoerotic to me, Kimmy.
Yeah, that sounds a little gay to me, too.
Younger ones especially need our help and guidance, since it's these that can be more easily influenced by their peers. Wanting to be accepted by schoolmates, one young sister who was raised in the truth had turned to a life filled with drugs, alcohol, prostitution, a failed marriage, and eventually contracting AIDS.
Now, we all know about the Watchtower character named Robbie from the Elders training videos.
Apparently he didn't hear my talk, did he? Oh, my life is ruined. Oh, brothers, what am I going to do? You should have been paying attention to this talk, Robbie. Choose your associates wisely and stay away from that damn fish tank.
I'm sure he's, like everybody else, has heard this 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah. How could you not get the point of this talk, Robbie?
Have you ever been to the point of thinking that perhaps maybe the truth is not worth all the effort that we put into it? And then actually even begin to ponder whether this is the truth or not? And then have a good spiritual friend encourage you to the point of removing all doubt? Would a worldly associate encourage you to stick with the truth? The worst thing that we can do if we are feeling a little oppressed and having any doubts is the staying of the way from meetings, thinking that no one cares or even remembers us. Have you ever felt like this?
Really?
Is that ringing a bell?
Yeah. Elder
Having
training
doubts,
video shepherding.
staying away from meetings.
How many times, Mikey, have we gotten emails or, our personal friends who said that, they never hear from the elders, fade away, and JW no more? 9 years later, and then when Christmas decorations are going up, then the elders call and want to do a shepherding call? 9 years!
I can't believe those words even came out of my mouth.
Wow.
Remember, Satan is seeking to devour us, and he will use any method at his disposal to isolate us from our congregation. And then, at that point, it's easier for us to get involved with the world. Usually end up doing something that Jehovah hates, from committing immorality to even perhaps getting involved with spiritism. See, Satan is so cunning with his tactics that he has blinded the majority of this world by using something like false religion, getting these people to think that their form of worship is pleasing to God. But we know it's not.
Does anybody see the irony of those words?
Oh, I don't even know where to begin on that one.
Satan can also use something as subtle as our own fear of man to isolate us, to get us away from the protection of Jehovah's organization. Sometimes Satan will even disguise his attacks by the music that's promoted in this world. They may have a real good beat, might be real good dancing music, but if you listen to the words, it proves that it's Satan's propaganda. Now, even though we don't imitate this world's lifestyles, do we perhaps find ourselves dressing like the world does? Do we perhaps copy the latest hairstyles? What about the current jewelry styles, like body piercing, tattooing? It's getting real popular among these days. But it's things that Satan can use to pull us from Jehovah's organization.
This screams mind control tactics. Cult tactic.
Body piercings? Wait a minute. I wonder if one day this knucklehead brother will ever get an ear pierced.
No.
Oh, this brother's so far out left field, it'll never happen. I'll bet you that this brother was giving his daughter a hard time when his daughter wanted to get tattoos. I'll bet you he gave her a hard time.
Yeah, our daughter has tattoos. We don't have a problem with it.
Oh, no, I don't have a problem with that.
See, Satan is so cunning that he actually uses our own natural desires to pull us away from Jehovah's organization, to isolate us. See, it's like a chess game. A good chess player will be consistently 7 or 8 moves ahead of you. So while you're defending a frontal attack, Satan has his bishops that are moving in from the sides. Now you're cautious about that move, but you've forgotten that his knight has already moved within 1 move of checkmate. You get the point here? Satan is continually coming at us from every angle. Do not kid yourselves. Do not kid yourselves. Satan is a master chess player, and that's because he's had 6,000 years to perfect his game.
Okay, now at the very end there, you've noticed that the ministerial servant taking the attendance, he can count up to 4 if he uses his hands and fingers. Of course, he didn't recognize that he was standing right in front of the camera, but we know they really aren't accused of being the brightest.
Oh, what is it with this guy and his illustration in the chess?
I was going to say, chess? Witnesses aren't supposed to play chess. It's a game of war.
I'll bet you some way or another, I bet he's managed to work that chess game illustration throughout the rest of the talk.
Yeah, afraid so.
You
want to know how to defeat Satan?
I'll tell you how you can defeat Satan pretty easy. Find one little tiny lie. I'll give you a good example. Right here, the reasoning book, page 89, under the subheading of cross. Checkmate. Game over.
Yep.
Young ones especially, though, need cautioning. I remember when I was in school, there was this one particular sister in the congregation. I see her go out in service. She'd attend all the meetings. She'd comment at the meetings. She was enrolled in a theocratic ministry school. She was doing everything that she should have been doing theocratically. But you know, at school, I'd see her smoking. And I can remember her telling me that she had to find these worldly associates because no one at the Kingdom Hall would associate with her.
Jehovah's Witnesses leading a double life?
Oh, no, that never happens. They don't go secretly have affairs with workmates in graveyards and things like that. Oh, no, Jehovah's Witnesses don't do that. But, you know, on a serious note, with this illustration that I obviously used, it became very apparent to me now that there was another reason why this young sister had to seek association outside the Kingdom Hall or the congregation setting, because it was pretty obvious that she could not find the fulfillment or the connection with people that she was longing for. And that happens quite often within a congregation.
Oh, we used to always hear about cliques. This congregation that we were in at this time was very cliquey.
Oh, very cliquey. In fact, at one point, there was always a group of friends going down to Mexico, and we would never get invited until I got a job that paid pretty good money. And then all of a sudden, we became friends with a lot of the other Jehovah's Witnesses in that congregation that had money.
Then they wanted to be our friends.
Yeah.
And you know what he told the ministerial servant? If we weren't good enough, a year ago.
Before we had the money.
Yeah. Why are we good enough now?
Yeah.
Money has no impact on that.
So really, there are reasons within a congregation why some of the friends start seeking association outside the Kingdom Hall, because the Kingdom Hall does not truly provide what a human being needs in friendship and fellowship.
Yeah.
Now, the first 3 chapters of the Family Happiness book that's published by the Watchtown Bible Tract Society has proved to be especially helpful in this regard. It helps us to see that we must shun developing any romantic interest with anyone or someone who is not, according to 1 Corinthians 7:39, not in the Lord. Now, recent information has helped us to appreciate that those who are in the Lord are ones that are dedicated and baptized, ones that have already demonstrated their faithfulness and their spiritual qualifications, someone who already measures up to God's standards.
Oh, good Lord, if that ain't cult speech or what? Wow. Don't measure up.
I wonder after hearing this if the brothers that wrote the script for the elders training video and Robbie, if they didn't hear this portion of the talk and decided to pretty much copy what I said.
Yeah, I think the same ones who wrote the outline wrote the Robbie script.
Yeah,
jeez.
Unbelievable.
See, there's a lot of things that need to be considered before the question, will you marry me, is asked or answered. But most importantly is, what is this person's relationship with Jehovah God? Now here's something that we can all ponder over. Let's say you're looking at this person as a prospective mate, and say that this person has been raised up in the truth. And then at 20-something years of age, he then decides, or she decides, to dedicate their life and get baptized. You might want to ask yourself, why did this person wait so long?
Really?
He's got cult speech written all over, doesn't it?
Wow. Do you see the mindset of even, question if they wait till they're older? Yeah, because they weren't 5 or 6 when they decided to make this lifelong commitment to an organization.
Yeah.
They waited until they were 20-something.
Yeah, so basically what this idiotic ministerial servant is saying is that if you grew up in the truth and you didn't get baptized until you were 20-something years old, you're not worthy of being a wife to another Jehovah's Witness.
Wow.
The Bible does have a few guidelines. Jehovah had given some guidelines to the nation of Israel at Exodus 23:2. Jehovah tells the nation that you must not follow a crowd for evil ends. Have you ever witnessed what a mob of people can do?
We have found the witch, may we burn her!
We all have to live in this world, so contact with worldly people is unavoidable. But we have to, when we can, limit any unnecessary association with worldly people. And Jesus helps us to appreciate that even though we are in the world and we have to deal with the world, we can still be no part of it. But the Apostle Paul takes it.
And there you have it, right from Watchtower's outline of how they view people of the world.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just glad you know better now.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the reading of romance novels.
Oh, this next part's going to be utterly embarrassing for me.
Yeah, be careful. Be very careful.
Now, studies have shown that the reading of romance novels is a very addictive habit. 20 million people alone in the United States have this addiction. And in 1996, it became a $1 billion a year industry. So there's a lot of romance novels out there. Well, such reading in itself is not necessarily wrong, but we need to exercise caution. This type of reading can cloud our thinking, perhaps by the way we may look at the opposite sex. We may even begin to make unfair comparison of our mates. Wives may even expect their husbands to act like the novel heroes that they're reading about. One sister had admitted that her addiction to romance novels almost destroyed her marriage. So it proves the point that reading these romance novels can influence the way we think.
Addiction? Addiction? Yeah.
Who would have really thunk at the time that I put together this talk
Piece of shit.
with all these statistics and how corruptive romance novels were to
addiction? Wow.
That 10 years later I'd be sitting in my couch in my home defending the fact that I let her write a romance novel. How ironic. Hey, let me see that for a second. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, sweetheart. You did the painting that's on the cover of this book, correct?
Yes, and some of you may recognize Shyla has it on her wall hanging up behind her desk when she does her videos.
Hey, you know what's interesting about this painting? There's no subliminal images.
I haven't seen anything in it except palm trees. Interesting.
Another area that we need to exercise caution is that of reading apostate literature.
Oops, I gotta go.
Oh, no, you don't. If we have to watch this crap, so do you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's about to get ugly.
Another area that we need to exercise caution is that of reading apostate literature. Now, this literature is designed to corrupt away our minds. Paul had a warning for the Corinthian congregation because apostasy had begun to creep into that congregation, and they were actually tolerating it. But let's look at how the Apostle Paul exposed what they were tolerating at 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 3 and 4. 2 Corinthians 11, verses 3 and 4. Paul says, "But I am afraid that somehow, as the serpent seduced Eve by its cunning, your minds might be corrupted away from the sincerity and the chastity that are due to Christ. For as it is, if someone comes and preaches a Jesus other than the one we preached, or you receive a spirit other than what you received, or good news other than what you accepted, you easily put up with him." See, Paul exposed this apostasy as a seduction of Satan, and showed that it was not to be tolerated within the congregation, and also how to deal with those who do promote apostasy in the congregations. So according to Titus 3:10, these people are to be rejected. Now, if these people are to be rejected from the congregations, then why would we want to read what they have to say in writing? It would be foolish if we were to expose ourselves to this literature. In 2 Corinthians 11, 13 through 15 exposes these people for what they really are, and actually puts them in the same light as the one that continually transforms himself into an angel of light. But if you do receive some apostate material, do you reason that it's okay to look at it, thinking that it is okay because you have such a firm grip in the truth? Well, ask yourself this question. Would you allow any one of your children to view pornographic material thinking that it was okay, that it wouldn't really harm them? No, you wouldn't. You would reason on the dangers, and then you would destroy such material. This apostate material is only designed to deceive us. It's poison. If you like to play a dangerous game of chess, then this is certainly one way you could do it. I don't recommend it. But if you're not sure what does constitute apostate material, there are 4 points that mark its propaganda. The first one is its cleverness. Ephesians 4:4 says that they are cunning in contriving error. They disguise the falsehood with the truth by getting you to question what truth is. Then there's prideful intelligence. On some issues, they may even jump ahead of Jehovah's organization, as if they actually know more, perhaps figuring it out before the faithful slave does. The third point is their lack of love. See, apostates have been known to attack people that they used to call brother. And the fourth point is its dishonesty. And this may actually disguise itself in many forms. Remember what Satan did to Eve? Is it really so? Clever, wasn't it? Getting Eve to question whether Jehovah was holding something from her or not. See, here Satan disguised his falsehood with the truth. See, he even got Eve to repeat what God's commandment was. And God's commandment was truth. But he got her to question it. By Satan using the serpent to do his talking, he intelligently disguised that he was one of God's angels, putting himself in opposition to Jehovah, thinking that his way of doing things were actually better than Jehovah's way of doing things. You will not die. Wasn't that surely a lack of love for mankind? See, Satan knew that Jehovah would hold true to his word, and Adam and Eve, they died. You are bound to be like God. Can you see how this whole situation is one that was surrounded with dishonesty? See, Satan used all 4 points to destroy Adam and Eve, and that same attack persists today.
John Cedars, be kind, please. The entire community of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, have mercy on my soul. Please be kind. I was ignorant when I put that talk together. I truly had, my mind was screwed up. I'm telling you, be kind.
Well, I don't know if I can be that kind, but a seduction.
Yeah.
Apostate literature is a seduction. Yeah. Good thing it didn't involve the fish tank, huh?
Yeah.
All I can say is OMG. Yeah. Wow. And it's the same as showing your children pornography? What the connection? I mean, that's just
Well,
out there. That's one of Watchtower's, wow. Okay. And it's only to deceive us. Well, now being on the other side of apostate literature, we can see what is really going on. It's not that we want to beat on our fellow brothers and sisters and have a lack of love. No, it's because we do love
them,
our brothers and sisters, and don't want them to be stuck in this mind control cult. And we hope that we've gotten that point across, during this talk, is the training that they use. This is the method, the tactic they use
right
to
inside
implant this.
Right inside the kingdom hall.
Yeah, and the brothers giving the talk don't even
Don't
realize
even know it.
what the hell they're
I
doing.
didn't even have a clue. I mean, if my mind would have been open to, key points, I should have been able to see it, but that's how deceived I was.
A zombie.
Because when you actually go back and look at that whole apostate section that I worked up, every single point that I made is every single tactic Watchtower uses to deceive people. It's not those that leave Watchtower that are using those tactics. No, we expose those tactics. Yep. So it's just the opposite end of the spectrum, but yet at the same time, that's what the mindset of the Jehovah's Witnesses and the mindset that Watchtower pushes in through these talks.
Yeah, it's actually talking about itself.
Yes.
And saying, the apostate literature.
When in fact it's Watchtower that uses these tactics.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting how in the outline they say that they mix truth with deception. And we've seen that's exactly what they do. They'll take a few verses of the Bible and then mix it with their own doctrine.
Their own
this
theology.
is what they do.
Yeah.
So wow.
Sorry to make you watch such a long clip, but again, be kind to me.
Tar and feather time.
So in order to benefit the most from our walking with Jehovah, we must do so on a regular basis. Are we taking advantage of the opportunities that Jehovah provides for us through His Word, His Spirit, His organization?
Now here's an interesting point in this portion of the talk. We didn't show the whole portion of it, but what I was getting at is that walking with God, developing a relationship with God, and it's interesting that how in that portion of the talk I'm directing everybody's attention to God, to God, to God, and then at the very end of it, I equate the organization with God. And that's why Jehovah's Witnesses have such a tough time breaking away from the organization, because they think God is the organization.
Yeah, that's why they can't separate the two.
Yep.
But this relationship does need to be developed. And one way of doing this is by associating with His wholesome organization. It's only here that we find people who are devoted to God, people who are producing the fruitage of the Spirit, people who are recognized worldwide as being kind, generous, people who truly love their fellow man.
Okay, Kimmy's riled.
Did you all recognize the cult speech?
Yeah, only here you find wholesome association, not out in Satan's bad world.
Somebody should take this knucklehead speaker and take him around the woodshed and beat some sense into him.
Yeah, why don't you go beat some sense into this knucklehead? Oh, good Lord. And his wholesome organization. This organization is full of pedophiles and they're hiding them.
And I can attest to the fact that elders will habitually lie even when they're in a court of law and they've sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It's not wholesome at all.
Yeah.
And how we can identify those with a good heart or those with a bad heart. Luke chapter 6, verse 45. Jesus says, a good man brings forth good out of the good treasure of his heart, but a wicked man...
Hi, Jim. I noticed he blew you a kiss too.
This was a very tough spot for me in the video here. The brother that got up and gave me the thumbs up, we were pioneer partners. Families were close. Actually, he went to Pioneer School a year before I did. But this brother and I, we became very, very close. We ended up being each other's confidants for many years.
Fought elders together.
And I literally miss this man, and I have a lot of love, a lot of deep feelings for this brother. I have so many fond memories for this man, and I just hope someday that he too will wake up, because this man has a very good heart. He's very conscientious of other people's needs. If there was ever a brother that you can count on, this was the man. I miss this man so much in my life.
One good thing is that we have heard that he has been inactive for several years now, and that he has had to deal with a lot of problems with elders and really took a beating. So we're hoping that he has woken up, and maybe someday we'll run across him again.
Yeah, and it's funny too. It's not just all tears right now. I remember some of the happy things about this brother and I. We used to rib each other in a very special way. You all saw where he blew a kiss into the camera.
I know it was kind of blurry, but that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what he did. He actually blew me a kiss. I can remember from time to time he'd be up on the platform reading the Watchtower, and he would be, while he was sitting down and the conductor was fielding the questions from the audience, I'd look over to him and I go, and you could just see him grin, and lo and behold, he'd do the same thing to me. We would do stuff like this to kind of distract each other, to see if we could get each other to maybe crack up or smile, those important meetings. And whenever this brother and I would get up and do a part together, it was just like magic. Some of you watch professional wrestling, and I do too. And when you watch some of the documentaries about these wrestlers and how they perform with other wrestlers, there just being a magic between those two performers in the ring. When it came to this brother and I think I can literally say that we had that magic. I just miss this man dearly, and I just hope and pray someday his eyes will wake up, and it is what it is at this point. If you happen to see this brother, know that I still love you very, very dearly, and I think about you a lot.
Are we someone enjoyable to be around? Are we a loyal friend? But with everlasting life as our goal, the associates that we choose now could be a determining factor as to whether we'll see that new system or not. To have good associates, we must be a good associate. So choose your associates wisely.
And here we have the wrap up of the mind control meal for Sunday morning.
In fact,
wow.
That talk was so well developed around mind control. I actually got another round of applause once the Watchtower study was done. Believe that or not. I mean, how many times after the Watch study has the conductor encouraged the audience to give the speaker another round of applause? So I guess as mind control tactic, I must have done my job very well.
Yeah, real good about implanting that mind control, dear.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. But I just wanted to mention, that he makes the point, oh, if you want to see that new system, you have to be careful about your associates right now. And I just wanted to say that we have met some of the nicest, most loving people since we've been out. And, I don't believe this for a minute that, this organization is all about love and wholesome and all of that. It's like, I'm sorry, witnesses may disagree with me, but I have not seen that.
You know, and the other point too is that if you go to jw.org, they will put a public question and answer out there. And one of the questions that Jehovah's Witnesses on jw.org ask is, do you feel that only Jehovah's Witnesses will, make it into this new system?
Oh,
Well,
no.
Yeah, see, you have it right at the end, right from my own mouth.
Right from Watchtower's outline.
Right from Watchtower's outline. So despite what you see on jw.org, you have a certified public talk where Watchtower actually pretty much puts that point across. If you want to be in this new system, you have to have good associates, associate with Jehovah's organization. And so I guess...
well, I just wanted to add that I have better associates now.
Oh, yeah.
Than I did before.
Well,
so
the whole thing, and I think I've made this comment before in another video or somewhere along the line, that those of us that have stepped out of Watchtower and actually have become activists against Watchtower, I think we ourselves, we put ourselves to even a level even above Watchtower in what we're doing, because we want to be absolutely sure that we don't make the same mistakes, the same cult-like tactics that Watchtower uses to captivate people. We want to actually use the tactics that'll help you break free from Watchtower.
And that's why we don't express our personal beliefs. We may get a little bit into them, but we try not to, because we don't want to tell anybody what to believe.
Yeah, you need to read the Bible and find
Research.
Christ and have this relationship with you and Christ one-on-one without somebody telling you how that relationship is to be, who to associate within that relationship.
What romance novels to read or not
Yes.
read, what TV shows to watch.
But I think it was just a pretty interesting talk. Choose your associates wisely, because when it does come to the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, they are extremely picky and selective with who they do associate with, because this talk is heard maybe 3, maybe 4 times a year. And this is a talk that they do rely heavily on. And for me now, looking where I'm at now, being on the opposite side of the spectrum, I mean, I couldn't have planned choosing that talk any better than what I did, because everything that I've spoken out against since I left Watchtower is all developed in this talk.
It was a good example. And something else too we want to mention is we did not realize until we found this VHS in a box of all the old tapes, and it's
Stuff
like,
we were going to throw out.
oh my goodness, Mike. Well, I wasn't going to throw them out, but I was converting them. I had bought the program to convert VHS, to save it onto your computer, and I was doing like Shiloh's graduation and things like that. And then it's like, oh my goodness, Mike, your first talk. And it's like, oh, we have to. Yeah, we have to. How many times is this done on YouTube? But what's interesting, it wasn't until we watched that talk for the first time, and the elder that introduced it, it's like,
oh yeah,
oh my goodness, that's Elder Bruce. It's the same one that he had mentioned in that story about seeing just a few years ago and didn't recognize him at all.
I put that chair right up to him, got almost as close as Kim and I right now, and for about 10-15 minutes, I just conversed with him, and I just let him try to remember who I was. And, I read in this man's book study. I went out in field service with him because I was part of his book study group. We served together as him and Elder, me as a ministerial servant. We went on shepherding calls together, and, within 10 years later, I was an absolute blur to him. Absolute blur.
Yeah. So we hope you've enjoyed this special edition of mocking...
Mocking Watchtower, but hey, mock me. I think we're going to put the whole talk not on, we're going to do that on YouTube and make it unlisted or something to that effect. So if you want to see the entire talk, we're going to make it available.
Yeah. Save yourself. It's brutal. Yeah.
Don't go back to the mind control. Really, it's not worth it.
You don't want to see it. Only if you want to pick it apart.
Yeah.
Or if you want clips to show, the mind control
Yeah,
tactics that they use.
If you think that you could use any of this talk for the purpose of teaching and or, showing how mind control tactics within Watchtower works, please feel free to do so.
Yeah.
You have my permission and you have our blessing to do so.
Yeah, and like I said, if you want the whole talk, to get clips out, because there is some more in here that we didn't show. It just screams mind control, and gotta implant that mind control.
Cult tactics.
Yeah. So anyway.
Thank you for watching, and I guess we'll see you next time around.
Well, it's back now. Now that we've had the comic relief, now it's back to subliminal images.
Oh.